Paul Metsa's Wall of Power TV is brought to you in part by Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation, Two Gingers Irish Whiskey, Grey Wolf Lodge, your home away from home in the North Woods, and the Solar Arts Building in Northeast Minneapolis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wall of Power TV. I'm your host, Paul Metsa. We have a great show for you tonight. Beverly Guitar Watkins was born April 6, 1939 in Atlanta, Georgia. She's an American Grammy Award winner, blues guitarist. Sandra Pointer Jones wrote, Beverly is a pyrotechnic guitar maven whose searing, ballistic attacks on the guitar have become allegorical tales within the blues community. George Varga, reviewing her debut CD, observed that Watkins sings and plays with enough poise and verve to make musicians half her age or younger consider alternative means of employment. She's playing in town tonight at the Greatest Little Blues Club in the Twin Cities, Shaw's Bar, in just a few hours, and she was nice enough to grace us with her presence and conversation. Beverly, welcome to Wall of Power TV.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and having me here.
Well, it's my pleasure. I want to say, when I saw you were playing at Shaw's, I had heard your name, but I didn't know as much about you as I do now.
Yes.
But it's been a real pleasure just doing a little research on you, watching your YouTube videos.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see your performance tonight.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
How did you get started playing guitar?
Oh, well, you know, it's at the age of 9, I say, my Aunt Margaret, she's deceased now. Mm-hmm. So she given me a guitar for Christmas. And back in that time, I was staying with my granddaddy, Luke Terrell Hayes and Phyllis Hayes. And one Christmas, my Aunt Margaret Hayes, she brought me a guitar for Christmas. The name of the guitar was I would say just a little play guitar, mm-hmm. you know. And my granddaddy, Luke Terrell, he played banjo.
Okay.
He was a banjo player. Mm-hmm.
So you'd heard firsthand right in the house, you heard the music. Were you listening to the radio? I'm sure you were. And what were you listening to that really attracted your ear on the radio?
Well, back in back in the 40s or whatever, you know, they had Marie Night, and back in those days, they had the Grapanolia, you had the wine.
Sure.
Yes, you know.
I still have my grandfather's. It was given to him in 1929 as a wedding present, and it still works, and I inherited all of his 78s.
Yes,
and
yes.
It still sounds great.
Yes. So I'm saying back in those days, that was the style of music, you know.
So what sort of records, what musicians were you listening to?
Well, at the age of 8, I really didn't listen. I would, you know, I had aunties that played, they had a group called the Hayes Sisters.
Okay.
And my Beatrice Hayes, which Hope raised me, she played the guitar. And my Margaret, she played the piano. And my Aunt Ruth, she was a vocal singer.
Wow.
Back then.
Very musical family.
Yes. And they would go to different churches mm-hmm. back in those days to perform. And they gave their name the Hayes Sisters.
So
mm-hmm.
did you grow up in church?
Yes, I did.
So
mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have, coming from Atlanta, Georgia, you must have grown up around some incredible gospel music.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, you know, such as the All National Independence back in the day, you know, and I would say back in the 60s, the church I first was baptized was at the age of 12, was Elizabeth Baptist Church.
Okay.
On Tatnall Street there in Atlanta, Georgia.
And you spent most of your life in Atlanta?
Yes, I was born there in Atlanta, whereas they call the Grady baby. I was born at Grady.
Okay.
Yes.
So when did you start performing in public?
Well, I would say after my grandpa passed in the country, then me and my aunt, my grandma, we moved to Commerce, Georgia. And we moved in with my Aunt Nell and Uncle Rip. And what happened was I went to this school called Commerce Elementary School. And it rocked on and whatever. Then my Margaret, she finally came and got me at the age of, I said age of 9. And she brought me to Atlanta. So no guitar and no pride. I hadn't thought nothing about no guitar then, you know. And here in Atlanta, Georgia, the first street we stayed on was Fair Street. And so we stayed on Fair Street. I would say that would be around 19, maybe late 40s or whatever. And I went to this school called the elementary school there. Then it rocked on. Then we moved from Fair Street to Webster Street. And after that, my aunt put in for a government project on Northside Drive. And what happened was there, I graduated from there and went to English Avenue School.
You have an incredible memory. I can't even remember what I had for lunch today.
Oh, well, I have, yeah, I thank God that it's a bad person to lose your mind, you know. But so far as I'll be 80 next year.
Wow, you're lying.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
14 years lung cancer survivor.
Really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Blues is a feeling, and it is an experience. Blues is about something that happens in my life. Rock me all night long. My name is Beverly Watkins. I was born here in Atlanta, Georgia in 1939.
Beverly Watkins was a pioneer for women in blues.
When I was playing back in the 60s, there wasn't no female guitar players, not in Georgia. They said I play like a man, but they're using the wrong terminology. The main thing is because I play so good.
After high school, Beverly began touring with the band Piano Red and the Meter Tones. Shortly thereafter, she was opening for some of the biggest acts in music.
We opened up for James Brown, B.B. King, Otis Redding. I played over 2,000 or 3,000 shows. Back in those days, the artists took time and helped each other.
Her hard classic blues style has evolved over the last 60 years, touring with different bands and eventually going solo.
I never stopped. When they said I should, I didn't pay them no mind, I kept going. Yes, it has gotten hard out there, you know. I clean houses, I worked at car washes, I clean offices, but I never stop playing my music.
And she has no plans on stopping anytime soon. Well into her 70s, she still puts on a show for the crowd.
It is keeping me living, keeping me going. I'm gonna look good and have a good time and get up there and do my thing.
So do you remember your first gig?
My first gig was I joined a band with a group called the Downbeat Combo.
Okay.
But let me go back a little bit.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay.
You tell the story.
Back in those times, there was, they called the tuning 440. And back in those days, I learned how to tune 440.
Mm-hmm.
And it rocked on and rocked on. Then I met a cousin of mine, Sylvester Jackson, and he played the harmonica and played guitar. And of course he played in E Natcher too.
Okay.
And I hung around him, you know, for a while. And let me say this, the bicycle that I had, I swapped my bicycle for a guitar.
Wow.
And his name was Sylvester Jackson.
Was it an acoustic or was that your first electric guitar?
No, it was still acoustic.
Okay.
Acoustic guitar.
So tell us, how did you, when you started to perform in public, were you playing an acoustic guitar at the time?
I think, yeah, might be she bought me a electric acoustic guitar.
Okay.
But I hadn't learned how to play 440. What I mean about 440 is you go to the piano, right?
Right.
And you got middle C. And they had a clamp. Back in those days, they call it the capo
Right.
clamp.
I use it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this finger right here represents the clamp on the
right.
guitar, you know. And so I played, this band I joined, the first band was the Downbeat Combo. We had drummer Billy Westone. We had Virginia Earns on keys, which she's passed on now. And she taught me a whole lot about, you know, playing different chords on the guitar. And I stayed in that band for about, I'll say about 3 years.
So were you playing nightclubs?
No, I wasn't doing no nightclubs, not yet.
Okay. So what kind of gigs were they back then?
Well, we would do little gigs like surrounding Atlanta, you know,
Okay.
like I would say Lawrenceville, Winder, Commerce. You know.
House parties and
Yeah, little house
events.
parties. Yes, yes.
Well, we've got a little road we have to travel here because you're starting out playing acoustic guitar, growing up in church,
Yes.
and some of these YouTube videos I've seen, you're a wild woman with an electric guitar. So,
Well, I said this here, it's all about Jesus Christ with me,
okay.
you know. The gift, I'm going to come on up and tell you whatever. When I played with Piano Red, I didn't sing or nothing.
And Piano Red was a well-known musician and also a radio DJ in Atlanta, correct?
Very well. See,
Okay.
he was already famous for We Journeyed with him.
Okay.
Because he used to be on OAK label. I know you've heard of Curly Weaver.
Sure.
Yes, and Blind Willie Mattel.
Blind Willie
Yes.
Mattel is one of my favorite musicians of all time.
Yes.
Diane Crapshooter Blues.
Yes, yeah,
Dig the grave with the ace of spades.
right.
Yeah.
So we have a club in Atlanta. It's named after Blind Willie Mattel, Blind Willis.
Did you ever get to hear Blind Willie?
I've heard some of his, his music or
Right.
whatever. But he was a great artist.
Great artist. And there's a really fascinating documentary on him on YouTube that I just stumbled on late one night, and how he could get around being blind on his own.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, he could traverse the streets and know where to go to play when the tobacco crops would come in, and where to set up on the street, and would take care of himself, and knew what kind of coins were being thrown in the can.
Yes.
On top of about being an amazing guitarist, songwriter, vocalist, and doing it all when you're blind and making your living on the street pretty much. Amazing story.
Yes, I mean, I did a lot of research on him.
Please give it up for today's leading lady, the Grammy-winning Queen of Blues, Ms. Beverly Guitar Watkins.
People, blues is all right for me. Well, I want to tell you people, blues is all right for me. Well, that's why Mr. Harry got me to New York. I'm gonna play the blues for you.
Welcome back to Wall of Power TV. I'm your host, Paul Metsa. My guest tonight, the lovely Beverly Guitar Watkins. When we ended the last segment, you were talking about Piano Red.
Yes,
And you started playing with him. This brought you a little wider recognition, I imagine?
Sure,
Because he was so popular.
Oh, he was, yes.
And what was his lineup in his band?
Well, when I left the Billy Westone and the Downbeat, we used to go to a rehearsal on Simpson Street. And so this gentleman, Bobby Tuggle, he was...
Bobby Tuggles?
Bobby Tuggle.
That's a great name.
Yes. So he came in one night and he said, Beverly said, Piano Red is trying to get a band together. Why don't you give him a call? I said, oh, okay. I said, I'll do that, you know. And so I called him. And the first band, now I have my band in Atlanta, which I named the Meter Tones.
Okay.
So the first band was Piano Red and the Meter Tones.
Okay.
We had Curtis Smith on lead, which is all still living in Atlanta. It's not but two originals of the Meter Tones. That's myself and Curtis Smith.
After Piano Red and the Meter Tones, what did you do after that?
Okay, well, let me run back for a minute.
Go ahead.
Let me go back from when I graduated from English Avenue School.
Okay.
Margaret, she left and went to Florida with some people she was working for. So then I went in 4th Ward there and stayed with my Aunt B, Luther B. Hayes. And then she went and bought me a trumpet at Citizen Roebuck for $90. So back in that time, we stayed in 4th Ward, and I went to Samuel Howard Archer High School. And what happened then, I met Clark Terrio.
The trumpet player?
Yes, Clark Terrio.
Yeah, who just recently passed, I believe, in the last
Oh,
year or
yes?
two. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Well, he was back then they called them bandmasters.
Really?
Yes,
Clark
Terry.
Terry. Fantastic.
And so...
That's what I call learning from the best.
Yes, yes. And then there was Gladys Knight.
Really?
She was a majorette there
Really?
at Archer, Sammy Howard Archer.
Did you know her?
Sure, I knew her very well.
Wow.
Her and Bubba Knight, her brother, and all
Wow.
of them.
Were you able to, later on in life, were you ever able to play any shows with Gladys Knight?
Yes, we did a couple shows there at the Wallahaji,
Okay.
there in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, one of the things I'm proud of Wall of Power TV,
Yes.
is we find these little nuggets of information that you only find if you watch this show. And I don't know how many people out there in Wall of Power TV land knew that Gladys Knight was a majorette. But
Yes.
now we do.
Yes, she was. She was.
I bet she was great too.
Oh yes, yes. But we back in that time when Clark Terry ordered all the instruments for the band, then he ordered a guitar too.
Really?
And then after school, sometime we would practice. Then he would take me to the piano, and he showed me, how to tune 440, E, A, B, G, B, E.
Right.
And so he was a great, a lot of help to me.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes, it was. But let me go back to the meter tones. We had
Yeah.
Tommy Ligon on bass out of Houston, Texas back then. And when Bill Doggett used to come town,
Sure.
Billy Butler was Bill Doggett's guitar player.
Right.
And Tommy would take me down on Forest Avenue to Forest Arms Hotel. And every time they would come in town, so very few now,
Right.
very few artists that, I know unless, I know you've heard this tune, Honky Tonk.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of,
Yeah.
yeah, so I learned how to play the different rhythmnastic, patterns of honky tonk.
Really?
But I was around good older musicians.
Yeah.
And back in those days, they took up time with you, So, well, it rocked on, and after the meter tones, then we brought in Roy Lee Johnson. He did Mr. Moonlight.
Okay.
Yes. And then we had 3 guitars. I played rhythm, bass, and drums. And it rocked on. We made an album called Piano Red, but it was Dr. Feelgood, intern, and a nurse.
Right.
The guys wore the like the doctor smocks.
Okay.
I wore the nurse suit, but I wouldn't wear the shoes.
Now, was that the record, or was it its own release? Right String, Wrong Yo-Yo.
Yes, yes.
I love that title. Who wrote that?
Well, Curtis Smith, he did all the writing and arranging
Okay.
for Piano Red back in those days.